Our learning today is dedicated Le'ilui Nishmat, Halfon ben Miriam, Nisim ben Miriam, Miriam bat Rachel, Ishak ben Perlina, Rachel Haya bat Miriam, Rachel Haya bat Miriam, Shoshana bat Miriam, Chacham Ovadia, Chaim Ovadia ben Georgia, Harav Mordechai Tzemach ben Mazal, Harav Yaakov Shemuel ben Harav Matityahu, Ruach Adonai Tinei Began Eden. Amen. Our learning today is dedicated to the Refuah Shlema of Yosef ben Shoshana, Mariza bat Shoshana, Esther bat Doba, and Abraham ben Turkia. Elna refana lahem, Elna refana lahem, Elna refana lahem. Amen. Okay, we are studying the laws of Tefillin. We are studying the laws of Tefillin. We are currently discussing the process of putting the talit on first. And what's the process of putting on the Tefillin in the morning? We are holding in Siman Chaf Hey. We are in the Yalkut Yosef English edition in Siman 25. And we are holding in Seif Zayin, which is Halacha number 7. Just because this is Shlomi's first time joining us, so I just want to make sure you understand. You can stop me at any point, okay? I go pretty fast because I speak fast, but if for whatever reason at any point, if you have a question or an insight or something you want to throw in, feel free to just chime in. Don't don't wait for an invitation because this is your invitation. So just chime in whenever. The way that we do it also, just as a brief thing, is we're going to go over the Hebrew. We'll translate the Hebrew as we read through it, and then we go over again the English translation, putting the footnotes within the translation, so we get a deeper picture into the halachot. So the halacha that we're dealing with now is before coming to the synagogue. Halacha Zayin says, "L'da'at Maran Shulchan Aruch," according to the opinion of Maran Rabbi Yosef Karo in Shulchan Aruch in Seif Bet, Mi shezahir lilbosh talit katan, somebody who's careful about putting on a talit katan, somebody who wears the tzitzit that we wear normally, like every day, all day long. Azai bebet babayit yilbash talit katan techila. So then, the proper procedure is that in his home he should put the talit katan on first. He puts his tzitzit katan on himself first. Afterwards, he should put on the tefillin. And then he should go to the synagogue wearing his tzitzit katan and just his tefillin, without the talit gadol. And he wears this and walks over to the synagogue wearing his tzitzit katan and just his tefillin. And in so doing, he'll be wearing tzitzit, he'll be dressed in tzitzit, and he'll be crowned with the tefillin. V'sham yita'atef b'talit gadol. And there, in the synagogue, he will wear the talit gadol. That's the opinion of Maran in Shulchan Aruch. Ulam haminhag ki hamikubalim. However, he says the custom goes in this regards according to the mikubalim, according to the Kabbalists. What's the opinion of the Kabbalists? Shemit'atef b'talit gadol babayit. A person should put his talit gadol on in the house. Av shelavush b'talit katan. Even though he's already wearing the talit katan. So even though you're wearing tzitzit katan, so theoretically, you could accomplish this idea of wearing the tzitzit first and then putting on the tefillin that we learned about last time. But nonetheless, they say, still, you're wearing the tzitzit katan, still you have to put on the talit gadol in your home. And then you put on the tefillin, and you go to the shul wearing both the talit gadol, the tzitzit katan, and also wearing your tefillin. Then you'll be dressed and wrapped in the talit, and you will be crowned in the tefillin. You can see more about that. It's brought down in the Ben Ish Chai, in Pirashat Vayera, in Halacha Gimel. It's also brought down by the Kaf HaChaim in Sif Katan Aleph. He says, we'll see more about this later on when we get to Halacha Yud Bet and Halacha 12 and onwards. We'll discuss that more in detail. Regarding the idea of being crowned in the tefillin and wrapped in the talit when we go to the synagogue. So the custom follows, just as a review, what we said so far was we said that Maran held that one should wear just the tzitzit katan and put on his tefillin at home, and then go to the synagogue wearing just his tefillin. When he gets to the synagogue, so then he can put on his talit gadol. But the custom follows the mikubalim, which say, like we learned previously, that one must put on his talit gadol first, and only afterwards put on his tefillin. We learned briefly why that's necessary earlier on. That according to the mikubalim, the Zohar Kadosh says that one has to wear the talit gadol. So we tried to give a couple different scenarios. One big example was if somebody touched his tefillin first. Does he put his tefillin first or not? So we discussed that according to the mikubalim, even in such a case, they held that one should put the talit on first, and therefore he would have to skip over the mitzvah of tefillin until he puts on the talit first, because that was the appropriate way. Whereas we saw that the opinion of Maran, similar to what he says here, is that no, if you touch the tefillin, you have to put the tefillin on first. And we said that Chacham Ovadia held that's the halacha in practice, that one should do like that, although the Ben Ish Chai disagrees. So those Sephardic Jews who follow like the opinion of Chacham Ovadia, if they touched the tefillin first, they would put on their tefillin first and then put on the talit gadol. And therefore, to avoid that, we put them in different places in the bag. However, we said that the opinion of the Ben Ish Chai was even in such a case, one would then close the kuracha and put on the talit gadol first. That was also the advice of the Or Lesion as well. Okay. According to the Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Chafhei Saif Bet, those people who regularly wear a talit katan should put on the talit katan and tefillin while at home, go to the synagogue, and then put on the talit gadol. However, the common minhag, based on the mekubalim, is to put on both the talit katan and talit gadol, and then the tefillin, all while at home, and then go to the synagogue. Let me turn off the WhatsApp on my computer so we don't keep hearing these notifications. Okay. Maran wrote in the Bet Yosef that the proper procedure is to recite a beracha and put on a talit katan, to put on the tefillin, and then go to the synagogue and put on the talit gadol. In this way, one follows the instructions given by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the Zohar HaKadosh and Perashat Devarim in Daf Resh Samech Hey Amud Aleph, that one should be wearing tzitzit and tefillin when leaving home for the synagogue. Because if you're wearing the talit katan and you're wearing the tefillin, so you're accomplished that. You have tzitzit and tefillin on. These are likewise the instructions of Rabbeinu Yonah in Sefer HaYir'ah on page Kuf Samach Bet. Based on this, the Shulchan Aruch states in Siman Chaf Hei Saif Bet, those people who regularly wear a talit katan should put it on and don tefillin while still at home, and then go to the synagogue already adorned with tzitzit and crowned with tefillin. Upon arriving at the synagogue, they should put on the talit gadol. The Ramah, however, of Moshe Isserlis testified that the common minhag is to put on the talit gadol while at home as well. They recite the beracha, put on the talit, and then put on the tefillin. Thus, fully dressed for prayer, they make their way from home to the synagogue. This matches the opinion cited earlier in the Bet Yosef. Maran did not give any explanation for the instructions he gave in the Bet Yosef. Why is it preferable to put on the tefillin before putting on the talit gadol, as appears to be the case? Seemingly, Maran is telling us that it seems more appropriate, according to Maran, that one should wear tzitzit, put on the tefillin, and then walk without the talit gadol to the synagogue. So why is that more preferable to Maran than the custom that the Ramah brings down of wearing the talit gadol, which we saw was also going to be the opinion of the mikubalim? Why does Maran seem to be not so happy about that opinion, or not inclining toward that? So he answers that it may be that there's no halachic preference for this formula, and that it's simply a solution for someone who prefers not to walk through the streets wearing his talit gadol because of non-Jewish neighbors or some other compelling reason. Since he's already wearing a talit katan, he fulfills the instructions of the Zohar to leave home already wearing tzitzit and tefillin. You see the Aruch HaShulchan, Siman Chafei, Saif Bet. So he proposes, perhaps Shulchan Aruch doesn't have a problem with the custom of the Ramah. Perhaps according to the Shulchan Aruch, it's true, would be better. Put on your talit gadol at home and go wearing the tefillin and the talit gadol to the synagogue. Nothing wrong with that. So how come in Shulchan Aruch he wrote that one should wear the tzitzit gadol and put the tefillin on and go walk to the synagogue and then put the talit gadol? He's just coming to tell you that it's not me'akev. It's not intrinsically necessary. It's not essential that you wear the talit gadol on your way to the synagogue. If a person is afraid that if he wears his talit gadol in the streets, all the goyim are going to see and it's going to be dangerous for him or for whatever reason, so he can still fulfill the instructions of the Zohar Kadosh by putting his tzitzit on first, then put his tefillin. His tefillin are covered anyways with the, he can cover it with his jacket and with his kippah. They're not going to see the tefillin. So he can walk through the streets like that. Nobody knows, nobody's the wiser. And he still will fulfill the opinion of the Zohar Kadosh. As the Ramah testified, the common minhag is to put on the talit gadol at home before putting on the tefillin. According to the Kabbalah, this is the necessary procedure, enabling the person to connect with the supernal worlds in the proper order. See the Ben Ish Chai in Perashat Vayera, Halacha Gimel, where he showed that these instructions are alluded to in the Pasuk in Sefer Bereshit, Perek Lamed, Pasuk Mem Bet. It says, V'haya ha'atufim leLavan, v'ha'kishurim liYaakov. It's talking about the sheep by Yaakov Avinu. It says, meaning the first comes the stage of atufim bilavan. First, you have to be wrapped in white cloth, in other words, the talit gadol, and then comes the stage of kishurim, the tefillin that are tied onto the person's body. Another hint to this procedure is the fact that the word tzitzit ends with the letter tav, which stands for tefillin. So first you have to have the tzitzit, and then the tav, which is the tefillin. Alternatively, the word tzitzit is made up of the initial letters, tzarashe tevot, it's an acronym for the word, Tziva Hashem tzitzit yanichu techila. Hashem commanded that they put on tzitzit first. Tziva Hashem, tzadi is tziva, Hashem is yud ke vav ke, the yud, tzitzit is the second tzadi, yanichu is the second yud, and tav is techila. So tziva Hashem tzitzit yanichu techila. Hashem commanded they should put the tzitzit on first. Kaf HaChaim, Sofer in Siman Chafei Seif Aleph taught in the name of the Arizal that according to the Kabbalah, it is necessary to put on both the Talit Katan and Talit Gadol before putting on the Tefillin, unlike the opinion of the Mekubalim of Spain. It seems that the Mekubalim in Spain had a different opinion, but the opinion of the Arizal was that, who's we've accepted as like the master of Kabbalah. It seems that the Arizal felt that one should put the tzitzit and talit gadol before putting the tefillin. Like all these reasons we brought down in the Ben Ish Chai, it's necessary to do that because when we do these mitzvot, it accomplishes certain things in the supernal worlds and the higher levels of consciousness and the higher levels of the world. And so by doing the tzitzit and the tefillin in that order, we accomplish those, whatever those inyanim are, whatever those ideas are that we're trying to accomplish. See a discussion about the practice of leaving home to the synagogue while already wearing one's talit and tefillin, starting below in Halacha 12. So just in summary, while the opinion of Maran and Shulchan Aruch, Be'ezrat Hashem, when you guys will study Shulchan Aruch inside, maybe we'll do it together one time. So we'll see that Maran says that one should wear this tzitzit and then put on his tefillin and then go to the synagogue and then put on his talit gadol at the synagogue. But the common custom is not like that. Our minhag is to follow the opinion of the Mekubalim in this regard and to walk with our talit gadol to the synagogue. And as we explained in the footnote, it could be that that's the opinion of Maran as well. And just that Maran wanted to tell you that in a case where you're nervous about it, you don't want to walk in the streets with your talit gadol, he doesn't feel that it's absolutely necessary, at least from a halachic standpoint. It seems that it's not necessary, while the Ben Ish Chai seems to hold that it is absolutely necessary because of the Kabbalistic reasons that we mentioned. Okay. All right, so that brings us to Halacha Het, which is someone with tefillin but no talit. What should somebody do if he has the tefillin but he doesn't have the talit? We just went at length explaining in the last shiur and today about the importance of putting on the talit before putting on the tefillin. So what does somebody do if he doesn't have that? Says the Halacha, Mi she'en lo talit kilal, somebody who doesn't have a talit at all. Veraka tefillin mizumanim biyado, and only the tefillin is ready on hand. He only has the opportunity to put the tefillin on. אם מובטח לו שיביאו לו הטלית קודם שיעבור זמן קריאת שמע ותפילה, if he's guaranteed, he knows for sure that he's going to get the talit before it passes the time of Kiryat Shema and Tefillah, צריך להמתין עד שיביאו לו הטלית כדי שיתעטף בתחילה ואחר כך יניח התפילין ויתפלל. He has to wait, and he doesn't start praying until he gets his talit gadol, in order that he can put the talit gadol on first and then put the tefillin, and only afterwards he will pray. So, meaning, normally we say that a person should pray at netzahama, but let's say a person, he comes now, if you're not going to pray netz, so they say that you should pray as early as possible. And there's a last time possible to say Kiryat Shema. So let's say a person, let's say the time of Kiryat Shema is 10 o'clock, and the person is standing at 8 o'clock in the morning. He can pray right now at 8 o'clock with just his tefillin, or he can wait, and he knows for sure at 9 o'clock he'll be able to borrow, he'll be able, or he'll get a talit available that he can put on his talit. So the question is, does he pray as early as possible and pray at 8 o'clock? Or does he wait until 9 when he's going to have the talit, even though it's going to be a much later time? So the halacha says he should wait until 9 o'clock. If he knows for sure he's going to get a talit at 9 o'clock, so he should wait until 9 o'clock. This way he can put the talit on first, and then put the tefillin, and then pray wearing both the talit and the tefillin. Ulam, however, if there's a suspicion that if he waits for the talit and tefillin, it's going to pass the time of the prayers, then he shouldn't wait for the talit. Rather, now he should put on the tefillin and read Kiryat Shema and pray. And later on, when he gets the opportunity to put on a talit gadol that day, he should put the talit on. He should wrap himself in the talit. You can see more about that in the Ramah, in Seif Aleph, and in the Kaf HaChaim Sofer, in Sif Katan Yud. He continues further and he says, "Velo yachlotz tefillin." He shouldn't take off the tefillin in that scenario. Rather, he should wrap himself in the talit while he's still wearing the tefillin. That's brought down in Yabia Omer, in Halek Yud, in Siman 55, in Ot 5. Okay, so let's recap. If someone has tefillin with him, but not his talit, but he knows that someone will soon bring him the talit so that he'll be able to wear it and recite the Shema and pray in the proper time, he must wait until his talit arrives. Then he must put on his talit and afterwards put on his tefillin, and then he can pray. If it appears, however, that his talit will not arrive until the time for reciting the Shema has passed, he should not wait for it. He should put on his tefillin without a talit and recite the Shema and the Amidah. Later, when his talit will arrive, he should put it on while he's still wearing his tefillin.
Rav, what do you say? What do you say? A bracha on the talit once he gets it?
For sure, we'll have to say lehi ta'atef b'tzitzit, right? Be more problematic the other way if it's tzitzit katan, right? Person puts his tzitzit katan in the morning, he doesn't make a beracha, right? Our custom is we don't make a beracha on the tzitzit katan. We put it on, and later when we're going to put the talit gadol, or if you slept with it, so you definitely don't have to worry about it. But when you wake up and the Ashkenazim have a custom, they say, mitzvah tzitzit, right? They make a beracha every morning. Our custom is we don't make a beracha. Why don't we make a beracha? Because when we put the talit gadol, so we have in mind the tzitzit katan. If somebody puts the tzitzit katan in the morning and then doesn't get his talit gadol, what does he do? That's more problematic. That's a different problem. But in this case, the guy is going to get his talit gadol. So once he gets the talit gadol, he'll make a beracha on it, for sure. That's by the way, the halacha is also that if somebody takes off his talit gadol and he leaves it off for let's say an hour, right? And he goes and does his business and comes back and he wants to put his talit gadol on. So now he has to make a beracha again because he'll make lit atif b'tzitzit. The Ramah in Siman Chavei, Seif Aleph, ruled that if someone does not have a talit available, it is not necessary to wait for it. He should simply put on the tefillin and begin praying. When his talit arrives, he should put it on at that time. The Megin Avraham in Siman Chavei, Seif Bet, explained that this ruling is based on the passage in Masachet Yevamot, Daf Lamed Tet Amud Aleph, We never postpone performing a mitzvah, even if we would be able to perform it in a superior manner at a later time. Nothing is better than performing the mitzvah at the first opportunity. That's what the Gemara says in Yevamot. We don't pass over mitzvot in order to do them in a better way. We do them immediately. As soon as you get the ability to do a mitzvah, you got to do it. Just as an aside for that, there's the famous story. I don't know how famous, but there's a story of Rabbi Natan Mibreslev. He was the student of Rabbi Nachman, and he was like his primary disciple. And at one point, it was Motzei Shabbat, or I don't know if it's Motzei Shabbat or maybe it was during the week, but he came over to the Rebbe and he told him, right now it's cloudy outside, but I can see the moon through the clouds. Should I make Birkat Levana now, or should I wait until a later day and I'll have the opportunity to make the beracha? And Rabbi Nachman told him he should make the beracha. He should go and bless the clouds while they're cloudy, not wait and lose the opportunity. I don't remember the conclusion of the story, but with absolute certainty, it's been a while since I read it, but I think he actually went ahead and saw that. I think the way they wrote the story, I think that he made the beracha, like the Rebbe told him, but that in the end, he saw that had he waited, the opportunity would have been lost. After that, the clouds were never visible again. And he learned supposedly this lesson. But anyways, we see from there and from the Gemara and Masechet Yevamot even more so that we never postpone performing a mitzvah. So according to the Magen Avraham, if you have the Talit Gadol and if you have the Tefillin and you don't have the Talit Gadol, so we said the halacha is that you should wait until you have the Talit Gadol. But the Ramah holds the other way. The Ramah says that no, you should put the Tefillin on and pray immediately. Don't wait for the Talit Gadol. Why? Because even though you could do the prayer in a superior manner by waiting for the Talit Gadol, we don't wait to do a mitzvah to do it in the superior manner. So that's how the Magen Avraham understands the Ramah's ruling. The Peri Megadim, cited in the Mishnah Berurah in Siman Chaf Hei Saif Zayin, added that although the general principle is to give precedence to a mitzvah that is more tadir, it's performed more often than the other mitzvah, if it's not possible to perform the more tadir mitzvah at this moment, one should go ahead and perform the mitzvah that is less tadir. According to these rules, it's unnecessary to wait for one's talit to arrive, even though the mitzvah of talit is more tadir in comparison to the mitzvah of tefillin. Even if the person knows that his tefillin will arrive in a few minutes wait, he should put on his tefillin immediately and not wait for the talit. Meaning, according to the Peri Megadim, he's going with the reason that we explained previously of what's the purpose that we put talit gadol before the tefillin. So we gave several reasons. One of those reasons was tadir v'she'eno tadir kodem. The talit gadol, you wear it every single day of the year. Whereas the tefillin, you don't wear every single day of the year. We don't wear tefillin on Shabbat or Yom Tov. So therefore, the talit gadol will take precedence. You have to put it on first because tadir v'she'eno tadir, you have a case of the common mitzvah of talit gadol and the case of the less common mitzvah of tefillin, tadir kodem. The more common mitzvah of tzitzit comes first. But in this case, that only applies when you have both things right in front of you right now. I have talit and tefillin in front of me. But if you only have one, if you only have the tefillin, so then you put the tefillin on. You don't wait for the other mitzvah to become available and then say tadir v'she'eno tadir. This isn't a case of tadir v'she'eno tadir. This is a case of she'eno tadir. So therefore, that's how the Peri Megadim understands it. Now, presumably, that's going to be problematic because according to the Mekubalim, right? Because what was the reason of the Mekubalim? They don't care about this tadir v'she'eno tadir. Their reason was much more severe. Their reasoning was the Zohar HaKadosh says that you have to put the talit gadol on first because it accomplishes certain things in Shamayim to do it in that order. And if you do it out of order, it's like you're destroying worlds, moving the worlds around in the wrong way, cause tragic damage, or at least not get the benefits. I don't know if it causes damage, but doesn't get the benefits that we are hoping to achieve. So that's the ruling of the Ramah. Despite this, the Kaf HaChaim Sofer in Siman Chaf Hei Seif Yud taught that according to the Arizal, it is critically important to put on the Talit Gadol before putting on the Tefillin. Therefore, as long as the person is confident that his Talit will be brought to him before the end of the time for reciting the Shema, he should wait for the talit and fulfill the mitzvah in the ideal manner. In practice, it's best to follow the instructions of the Kaf HaChaim. This is because the Arech HaShulchan in Siman Chafei Seif Dalid disagreed with the Magen Avraham, citing the Tirumat Hadeshen, ruling that the Gemara's rule never to postpone a mitzvah applies only when postponing it is likely to make the person lose the opportunity to fulfill it altogether. As long as one will be able to perform the mitzvah later on, it's best to postpone it so that one can fulfill it in the ideal manner. The Rama in Siman Taf Chaf Vav Seif Bet concurred with the ruling of the Tirumat Hadeshen. So even though the Rama seemingly said that one should put the tefillin on immediately and not wait for the talit gadol, the reasoning that was brought by the Magen Avraham is faulty according to the Kaf HaChaim, because the reasoning of the Magen Avraham was, again, why does the Rama give preference to the tefillin in this case? Is because when you have an opportunity to perform a mitzvah, we don't wait to perform it in the more ideal manner. But the Kaf HaChaim says that the Tirumat Hadeshen explained that Gemara as being only if you're going to lose the opportunity to do the mitzvah altogether. Meaning, if you have an opportunity to do a mitzvah, and if you wait, you may be able to do it in the ideal manner. So then, according to the Gemara, you don't wait because you're going to lose the opportunity to do the mitzvah. Who knows that you'll actually be able to do it? But if you know for sure you're going to be able to do the mitzvah later on, then of course the Gemara would agree. You wait to do it in the ideal manner. That's how the Tirumat Hadeshen understood that Gemara. So therefore, since we have that question in the Magen Avraham anyways, and we know that the Mikubalim said clearly it's critical to put the Talit Gadol on first and put the Tefillin on second. So for those reasons, we follow the opinion of the Kaf HaChaim in this case, and we will put the Tefillin on first. We'll put the Talit Gadol on first, and we'll wait for the Talit Gadol to be available before putting on our Tefillin. All this again applies only when you know for sure you're going to get the Talit Gadol later, like we said. Okay, so now we've touched on an idea that we're going to take a little bit of a side discussion and dig in a little deeper. Is it better to perform a mitzvah earlier or in the ideal manner? Do we say, let's say you have a mitzvah that you can do it, let's say 7 o'clock in the morning. Or you could do it at 8 o'clock, but if you do it at 7 o'clock, it's more like b'di'avad. But if you do it at 8 o'clock, it will be a lechatchila. Not in the time of the mitzvah, but in the quality of the mitzvah.
According to the Kaf HaChaim that we just said, it seems like the ideal would be better than early. Because the Kaf HaChaim says wait, so you could do the mitzvah in the most ideal way.
So let me ask you, do you think that applies to all mitzvot, or is that specific to tzitzit because of the idea of the Arizal that it's critical to put the tzitzit first?
I'm not sure.
So I think you're right. I will have to see, but I think you're right in that I think that if you say, like we said, according to the Tirumat Hadeshen, that the idea of doing a mitzvah in the lechatchila way, if you know for sure you'll get the ability to do it later on in a more ideal manner, we wait. Why not? So I think that's how the Tirumat Hadeshen understands it. I don't think it's specific to the mitzvah of tzitzit. It happens to be in the mitzvah of tzitzit. There's another reason besides that why we have to wait. But I think presumably, according to the Tirumat Hadeshen, like you said, like the Kaf HaChaim Sofer explained, that it would make sense that you should wait. So let's see what he says here. He says, if someone has the choice of performing a mitzvah immediately in a manner less ideal or later in the ideal manner, should he perform it immediately or should he wait? It's interesting, as another case where this came up, a similar case I'm just thinking about that happened to me. We know there is an idea, it's a halachic question that came up on a Shabbaton. We know that the halacha says one should pray netz. One should ideally pray sunrise, right? If he's able to wake up and stuff, he should pray netz. If he's not able to wake up, so he should get an alarm clock. So the problem came up. We were traveling on the bus to Winter Regional. We were going to Tennessee from Florida. So when it came Netzach Hama, it was approaching the time. You know, in order to pray the Amidah at Netz, you have to start the prayer maybe 45 minutes earlier. for Sephardim, like it's going to take you so long to pray with all the korbanot and ketoret and everything. It takes about 45 minutes to do it at a minimum with proper kavanah, right? To get to the Amidah. So it came the time, okay, now we're standing, we should start the prayers. The problem is we're on the bus. So we're traveling to the thing. So I don't know, are we going to arrive there at the place in time for Nets? Why does it make a difference? Because the Ashkenazim wanted to wait because they're going to get to the hotel. And when we get to the hotel, there's going to be a minyan there with the advisors. Advisors were already waiting for us. So they wanted to pray with everybody there and pray with the minyan. If we pray on the bus, the staff members, if we prayed on the bus, there was less than a minyan of staff members, and it seemed that we would not be able to get a minyan. So we would have to pray biyachid. So the question was, is it better to pray with a minyan and maybe miss Netzach Hama, or for sure pray now at Netz, but biyachid? That was the question. Minyan or Netz? So we knew there's always the rule is always Netz takes precedence to minyan. If one has the opportunity to pray Netz, he should pray Netz even though he could pray with the minyan. He should still go to the minyan later to hear the Torah and to answer Kaddish and Kiddusha. But if he has the ability to pray Netz, he prays Netz. But the question was, another problem was, if you're praying and you're on a plane or something like that, so b'di'avad, you can pray while sitting down. You can say the Amidah while sitting down. Or if you're able to stand and hold on to something, so you stand and hold on to something. But it's b'di'avad, it's not the appropriate way to pray the Amidah. Whereas if we have to pray Netz on the bus, so it's a b'di'avad, right? This is not the ideal manner. But if I just wait a little longer, I could wait and pray the Amidah for sure at the hotel, and it would be the lechatchila way of praying the Amidah. I don't have to rely on that we're traveling so I can hold on to something. So this is seemingly this question that we're asking now. Is it better to perform the mitzvah earlier and I'll have to maybe sit while saying the Amidah, or do it in the ideal manner? Wait till I get to the hotel and do it, forgetting the Netz issue, but just the idea of the sitting, what would be the case in that scenario. So that's probably going to play implications into here. Just as so you have the end of the story, so you don't feel suspenseful. It turned out in the end, I tried my best to look up the halacha. I couldn't get a very, very clear answer, but I went with the Netz. I started praying Netz on the bus, and by the time we got to the Amidah, miraculously, like a minute or two before Netz, the bus driver all of a sudden turned off the road. He had to go to the bathroom. And he pulled the whole bus off the road. Exactly got off the bus. I came down off the bus and prayed Netz exactly the moment of Netz. Was like, we got off the bus, the 1 minute to get down off the bus to start the Amidah was exactly the time of Netz. So happened to work out, we had Siyata Dishmaya on the trip, but I don't know that was necessarily the halacha. Sometimes Hashem has to arrange the world because, he wants to get you into the halacha, but that doesn't necessarily mean that was the appropriate thing. We didn't know better. We had to make our best judgment. But let's see what he says here. So if someone has, again, the choice of performing a mitzvah immediately in a manner less than ideal, or later, or on the ideal manner, should he perform it immediately or should he wait? So Harav David ben Zimra, the Ribaz, in Sheilot Teshuvot in Chelek Dalid, in Ot Yud Gimel, was asked about a person being held in prison where he was incapable of performing any mitzvah, who was granted a furlough for 1 day. So he's in prison, but he gets to take 1 day off from prison. Should he wait for Purim, when he would be able to fulfill the maximum number of mitzvot, or should he take the first day available, even though it's ordinary? This is the question that Ibaz got. The guy's in prison, and they tell him, you can take 1 day off from prison. So he wanted to know, should I wait till Purim when I'll be able to do many mitzvot because there's additional mitzvot on Purim, or should I take off, tomorrow and do the mitzvot immediately tomorrow, even though there may be less mitzvot to be able to perform? One contemporary rabbi wrote a lengthy responsum on this issue, and at first ruled that the best day to take furlough is Yom Kippur. But afterward, he changed his mind and decided on Purim, since it includes the important factor of Pirsume Nisa, publicizing the miracles. Harav David insisted that no one rely on that ruling, and his conclusion is that the prisoner should take the first day possible, whenever it will be. Otherwise, he will be guilty of transgressing the principle of ein ma'avirin ala mitzvot. We learned previously, one should not give up the opportunity to do mitzvah. So if you wait till Purim, granted, you'll be able to do more mitzvot, and granted, you'll have the additional factor of Pirsumei Nisa. But in the meantime, Tuesday, Thursday, all these days are going by, and you didn't do the mitzvot. So you passed over the mitzvot. So the Ribaz did not like that approach. He said that one should take the immediate day. One might think that this ruling disagrees with that of the Tirumat HaDeshen, which is that as long as one will not lose the opportunity to perform the mitzvah altogether, it's best to wait and perform it in the ideal manner. The Chacham Tzvi, cited by the Erech HaShulchan, however, insisted that Harav David agreed with the Tirumat HaDeshen. The Tirumat HaDeshen dealt with a case where the person had a choice of performing a mitzvah now in the less than ideal manner, or the same mitzvah later on in the ideal manner. In such a case, he ruled that as long as one is confident that he will be able to perform this mitzvah later on, he should postpone it. Harav David is dealing with a question whether to perform a number of mitzvot today or to perform different mitzvot on another day. In that case, the rule is to perform the mitzvot that come to one's hand without first taking into consideration other mitzvot that can be fulfilled only in the future. Let's just review that point. The Tirumat HaDeshen said previously that if you have the opportunity to do the mitzvot in the ideal manner later on, we wait until we have the opportunity to do the mitzvot in the ideal manner. But the Ribaz just said here that a person should take the first furlough, the first day off from prison as possible, so that he doesn't miss over doing the mitzvot. So how do you explain those two? It seems to be a machloket. So he explains, Chacham Tzvi explained that it's not necessarily machloket. Could be the Tirumat HaDeshen agrees with the Ribaz. And what's his explanation? So his explanation is when the Tirumat HaDeshen said that you wait for the later mitzvot, that's only when you know for sure you have the opportunity to do both mitzvot. So then you wait for the mitzvah in the ideal manner. Right now it's the same mitzvah. Whereas by the Ribaz, they're different mitzvot. Meaning, according to the Tirumat HaDeshen, right? Like our case, for example. What was the mitzvah that we're doing? Tefillah, we're praying. It's more ideal to pray with tzitzit and tefillin. But if a person so what can he do? He can either pray now with just the tefillin, it's less than ideal, or he can wait to do it with the talit in the ideal manner. And he knows for sure he's going to get the talit. So in that case, wait, and you'll do it in the ideal manner. In this case, the guy is not doing the same mitzvah. He has the opportunity to wait until Purim and do multiple mitzvot, or to pray right now. So what's he going to do? You're going to pass over the mitzvah of right now in order for a mitzvah that's going to come later? Granted, those mitzvot might be more numerous, perhaps even greater quality. But who cares? Bottom line, right now you have a mitzvah. You're going to give up this mitzvah entirely now to do the other mitzvah. So even the Tirumat HaDeshen would agree with the Ribaz, you should take the first furlough day. That would be one way of understanding it. The Shulchan Aruch ruled in Siman Taf Chaf Vav Seif Bet that it's best to postpone reciting Birkat HaLevana until Saturday night, since at that time people feel emotionally elevated from the pleasures they enjoyed during Shabbat, and they're dressed in the Shabbat finery. That's our minhag today, right? We always, generally, the synagogues like to always do Birkat HaLevana Motzai Shabbat. Even when it's possible to recite the Beracha earlier that week, the Halacha instructs us to postpone it in order to fulfill it in the ideal manner. So we see another example where a person is postponing the mitzvah. The Mishnah Berurah in Siman Tav Chavav in Saif Chav cited Harav Eliyahu of Vilna, ruling otherwise. Namely, that one must recite the Beracha on the first possible evening and not wait until Saturday night. So the Gaon of Vilna held that one shouldn't postpone the mitzvah of Birkat HaLevana to do it on Motzai Shabbat. He should do it immediately on the first opportunity. In the Sha'ar HaSiyun, he cited the Sefer Hasidim in Ot Taf Taf Ayin Het, ruling that one must never postpone a mitzvah, even if one would be able to perform it in a superior manner later on. This matches the Mishnah Berurah's ruling that one must not postpone the mitzvah of Tefillin until one's talit arrives. So they held, the Ashkenazim it seems hold very clearly, that one should not wait to do the mitzvah in the ideal manner. He should do it immediately, even if it's going to be less than ideal. The Hilchot Hayim, however, explain that the two cases are fundamentally different. Regarding Birkat HaLevana, the mitzvah itself is enhanced by waiting for Motzei Shabbat, and therefore it's proper to wait. Regarding the mitzvah of tefillin will not be enhanced by one's putting on the talit first, and therefore would be incorrect to postpone it. Excuse me. According to the teachings of the Arizal, however, there is basis to say that the mitzvah of tefillin itself is enhanced by putting on the talit beforehand. The Hilchot Hayim did not view this issue from a Kabbalistic perspective. If you go strictly from a halachic perspective, there's nothing gained by putting the talit on first because of the reasons that we gave previously. It doesn't change the mitzvah of tefillin in any way. And you have the problem of tadir v'sheino tadir, that's only when the tadir is in front of you. But here the tadir is not in front of you. So exactly like the Magen Avraham explained, that's how the Ashkenazim are going. They're going strictly from the halachic standpoint. But our poskim that went according to the Arizal, so they said, no, there is an intrinsic difference in the mitzvah of tefillin. When you put the talit on first, you accomplish greater things Kabbalistically. And we take the Kabbalah into account in this regard. Maran Rishon LeZion, in response to Yabia Homer, in Halek Bet, in Yoreh De'ah Ot Yud Het, ruled that it is best to perform an infant circumcision early in the morning, even though a larger crowd would be present if it were scheduled later in the day. He cited proof for this from the Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, Daf Lamed Bet, Amud Bet, and he presented an interesting discussion of the subject. I'm not sure. I take issue with that proof. He wants to say here that's another proof that you do the mitzvah immediately, similar to like what the Ashkenazim do, but it's not a good proof because it's in my opinion, my humble opinion, by Brit Milah, we learned that the reason that you have to do Brit Milah early in the day is because of Makdimin LeMitzvot. There's a special idea by Brit Milah that you should do it as early as possible. Because the people who are zirizim, they're makdimin to the mitzvot. They do them immediately. But and it doesn't change intrinsically the mitzvah to have a greater crowd to do the Brit Milah. The Brit Milah is performed regardless of the crowd. So I don't know that that's necessarily, I don't see why that should be a proof to do it. There are some differences, in my opinion. Seems to me there's some differences. Okay, anyways, let's wrap up this halacha. It's not necessary to take off the tefillin and put them back on after the donning the talit. So we learned that when later on in the day, when the talit becomes available, we put the talit on. You keep the tefillin on until you put the talit on. You don't have to take the tefillin off and then put the talit back on. Right? So the question is, what if someone has only tefillin now and gets a talit later? So if someone saw the time passing and figured that his talit would not arrive in time for reciting the Shema, so he put on his tefillin, what should he do when his talit finally arrives? Does he take his tefillin off and then put the tefillin on? Or does he just put the talit gadol on? What's going to be the difference? So we learned previously, right? The Mikubalim held that you have to put the talit gadol before the tefillin. But what if you already put the tefillin? Do they hold that you have to take it off now and put it on? So the response of Rav Pe'alim, that was written by Rabbi Yosef Haim from Baghdad, in Halek Aleph and Ot Dalid, he ruled that he should take off the tefillin, put on the talit, and then put the tefillin on again without repeating the beracha. So according to the Ben Ish Chai, one has to take off his tefillin, put on the talit gadol, and then put the tefillin on again. But he doesn't have to make a beracha when he puts the tefillin on again because he had in mind when he took off his tefillin, he's going to put them back on. That follows what we learned according to the Mikubalim, that there is this idea that when you put the tefillin on, one should be wrapped in the talit gadol. Maran Rishon LeZion, in response to Yabia HaOmer and Halek Yud, in Ot Nun Hey, in Seif Hey, cited above in the footnote in Halacha 6, disagreed with this. He pointed out that according to the Shulchan Aruch, if someone touched his tefillin before putting on his talit, he must put on the tefillin first and then put on the talit. If so, certainly the halacha is that he's already wearing his tefillin, he can simply put on the talit at this time. He then cited the Kaf HaChaim Sofer in Siman Chavav Seif Aleph, ruling that even though the Arizal explained according to the Kabbalah, it's necessary to put on the Tefillin Shel Yad before the Tefillin Shel Rosh. If someone mistakenly put on the Tefillin Shel Rosh first, it's not necessary for him to take it off and then put on the Tefillin Shel Yad and Tefillin Shel Rosh again. If so, then certainly in this case, it's not necessary to take off the Tefillin in order to put on the Talit. The Halacha requiring one to put on a Talit first and then the Tefillin is far less compelling than the Torah rule to put on Tefillin Shel Yad before Tefillin Shel Rosh, as explained above in the footnote to Halacha 5. This is likewise the ruling of Rav Meir Mazuz in his glosses to the Mishnah Berurah Ish Matzliach. So, Chacham Ovadia disagrees, like we learned previously with Rabbi Yosef Haim. Rabbi Yosef Haim held, the opinion of the Ben Ish Chai, that if one is wearing the tefillin and now he gets his talit gadol, he should take off the tefillin, put on the talit gadol, and then without a beracha put his tefillin back on. That would be in keeping with the opinion of the Mikubalim. However, like we learned previously, Chacham Ovadia disagrees. He says, we said by the regular case, when a person touches his tefillin first, what does he do? So according to Maran, he puts on his tefillin first. The Mikubalim said you should put the talit gadol on first. So he says, okay, that's if you have the opportunity. But here you touched it over. Now there's en ma'avirin ala mitzvot. The Rabbi Yosef Chaim said, even in such a case, he goes according to his opinion, even in such a case, he said, what do? You close the kuracha, like the Or Letzion told us, and then you go and open it up again, and this time you touch the talit first. Right? So that was what we learned previously. Chacham Ovadia didn't hold like that. He said, no, you put the tefillin on first and that's it. So you don't have to do a game with the kuracha. And he even questioned if closing the kuracha even helps. So the same thing here. If a person's already wearing his tefillin and now he gets a talit available, he just puts the talit on. You don't have to take off the tefillin and put it back on, according to Chacham Ovadia. It's also the opinion of Rav Meir Mazuz. Maran and Rishon LeZion added more weight to this ruling based on the Mikubalim of Spain, cited in the Beit Yosef, who ruled that as long as the person is wearing a talit katan, he could put on his tefillin before the talit gadol. Again, that leniency that we learned previously, that if a person is wearing the tzitzit katan, he may anyways accomplish what the Kabbalah wants. However, we did see that the Kaf HaChaim Sofer brought that the Arizal did not like that, the Mikubalim of Spain. He disagreed with that opinion. And so he doesn't hold of that leniency, which presumably is why the Kaf HaChaim Sofer and Rabbi Yosef Haim from Baghdad both disagreed, and they held that you should put the talit on first, even in such a case. So, sof la'alacha, if a person doesn't have and what we came out la'alacha was that if a person has no talit, he has only tefillin. If he knows for sure he's going to get the talit gadol later on, he waits until he gets the talit gadol to pray. He does not put the tefillin on and pray like the Ramah said. Rather, the custom of the Sephardim is that we wait until the time that we'll have a talit gadol. We put the talit gadol on first, then the tefillin, and pray. If you know for sure that you're going to have the talit gadol. If a person already went ahead and put on his tefillin, so now he does not have to take off the tefillin in order to put the talit gadol on, although that's the opinion of the Mikubalim. We don't hold that way, la'alacha, in practice. And finally, one more thing was later on, a person should still put, even if he prayed with the tefillin, he didn't have the talit gadol, when he has the talit gadol later on, he should put it on even that day. There is an inyan of wearing the talit gadol every day. He should still put the talit gadol on later on, and he will make a beracha, like we said, and he will put that on. And ideally, he should leave the tefillin on until he gets an opportunity to wear the talit gadol as well. Okay. Any questions before we close out?
Rabbi, when can we learn? Can we have a double session next Chabruta for this week?